Alrighty, good morning, everyone tuning in on Facebook and YouTube. So today we have a great episode. We're going to be talking about artwork and local artists today. We have two of them. You may have heard of them, Denise Gallagher and Dirk Guidry. They are also 2022's festival artists, one for Festival Acadiens and then Festival International. We'll be talking with these two artists in just a moment, but first I want to go ahead and let you guys know, that you're listening to the T. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves. So, of course, ladies first. Denise, go ahead and kind of let everybody know who you are and kind of what you do.
Hi, I'm Denise Gallagher, and I'm happy to be here. I am an author, illustrator, artist, teacher, graphic designer. I love doing all things creative. So, and I was, happy to be the poster artist for Festival Acadiens et Créoles this year and for the spring and the fall. So, so that's exciting. So
I know it's wild that there's two festivals. I guess
they
wanted to pack it in.
Yes, the last time they did that was like the very first year, and they realized that was just too much. But unfortunately, they had to cancel last fall's, and so they really wanted to do it in the spring, and everybody was ready. So they decided to do another one in the fall, and I'll be the poster artist for that one as well.
Nice. And Dirk, go ahead and kind of let people know who you are and kind of what you do.
Yeah, my name is Dirk Guidry, and thanks for having me here.
You're welcome.
I'm just a professional local artist here. I specialize in abstract fine art, large-scale paintings, as well as commission, portraiture, murals, live wedding and event paintings. You name it, I'll paint it.
You name it, okay.
So, and, I'm very involved in the community. I serve on the Arts Council for the state. I'm also the program director for Bare Walls, local art subscription program here in town. And I'm just so honored to be the this year's festival international official artist,
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have both of you here because before we went live, hopefully we're live. We're definitely recording, if not. So we were talking about artwork and how I have a little bit of artistic background, but you guys are like living art, like period. And Denise, I mean, I've been following your work probably a good little while. Now, I don't know every single thing you've done, but I moved here in 2010 and just through my graphic design work here and there at different sign shops and print shops, your name has come up on my Facebook, and so I've been watching a lot of the stuff you've done for a while, and your taste, your artistic vision is very unique. How would you describe your sense of style when it comes to artwork and kind of the artwork that you produce?
I have, and I actually was trying to write an artist statement, which is really hard yesterday. And I was, I have two different sort of styles. I have a sort of whimsical, happy, fun style, and then I sort of have a dark, mysterious style. And sometimes they overlap, depending on the project. For personal projects, anything goes. But a lot of the times I do posters and work for like Acadian Animal Aid, or my son plays the violin, so I do posters for his violin performances and things like that. And I love to, use unique color palettes, unique type, hand lettering, and just joyful, have a sense of joy or bring people. And a lot of people say that they can tell the work is mine, which even if it's graphic design, fine art, or illustration, which is cool to me because, then I know that I'm being true to myself as an artist.
Yeah. So you said whimsically for sure, because that's what the vibe I get out of it. You wouldn't even put, I don't even think you would put the word commercial on it. Is that fair to say?
I try to be unique. I try to steer clear of things that are just overdone, or I try to stay true to myself as an artist, even in anything that I do. And I sketch every day. I carry a sketchbook with me everywhere, and I am interested in unusual animals and folklore and things like that. Really inspire me and really sort of always often enter into the visual language and the things that I produce. So.
Yeah, no, definitely can tell that you love interesting animals and artwork of animals, because almost everything I've seen you post, there's some sense of that. And then I'm curious on the dark stuff. I don't know if I've ever seen the dark stuff. I don't know if I've dived in enough.
Yeah, I have actually a section of my website that is more. I have illustration, and then I have more of a fine art section, and that's a lot more personal stuff. And there's strong women and women who are either like pseudo saints or not princesses, but like royalty.
Yeah.
Or and they're tough.
Warrior princesses.
Warrior.
I love
Warrior. Yeah.
So and it's just a lot of folk like based on folk tales and folklore, and even like the stories behind saints and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of gruesome, things that are in fairy tales and stuff that's really, but I also like to add like splashes of color that you wouldn't expect in some of these tales, like a hot splash of hot pink or orange, to really sort of make it more modern or more true to me. And then beasts and creatures and like things with horns and fire and things like that.
Wow. Yeah.
I love it. I've always been a big fan of
actually, I just created a piece for Palettes and Pâté that is on May 6th. Are you going to be there?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Oh, my God. So we're both going to be there. And it is a big piece that I created, and it's Pilar y la Bestia. And it's this queen. She's a magnificent silver-haired queen, and she has this hot pink beast, and she's feeding him strawberries, because I have been paired with the chef from Pamplona, and they will be serving a strawberry dish. And so
Nice.
there are strawberries included in the piece to kind of like go with, and so it's definitely a piece, and I can't share it yet, but because it's top secret, but I will definitely share it and like process videos and things like that. So and people and sketches, so you can see how my mind sort of, or how I kind of came up with that piece.
I like how you said, or you can kind of see how my mind and came up with the piece and all that. Let me tell you, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't even figure out what's in my own mind sometimes as someone who's a creative person. Sometimes I'm like, I'm scared to go deep. Obviously it looks like you kind of embraced it, because with the dark stuff, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of people try to do things that are obviously brighter and like, not dark, and to do the dark stuff that digs deep.
It's sort of a therapeutic thing for me. I have a sketchbook that I won't share some of the pieces. It's just but it's like therapy. It's there are thoughts there. I've lived life, and life is not always rosy and whimsical and happy. There are dark periods, and there are times when I just want to rip at the dirt and throw it in the air, and so I can't do that. So I go to my sketchbook and I draw my feelings. And like I said, there are some that I don't share, but it's just for me. And it took me, when I was in college, I would draw all the time. And then I graduated, became a graphic designer, and I was worked at an agency for 20 years, and I lost that the drawing. I stopped, and after a while, I realized that something was missing in my life, and my husband said, when I met you in college, you used to draw all the time, and you don't draw anymore. And I was like, you're right. So I right away got a sketchbook and a pen, and I was really rusty and I was really tight. And, I wanted to draw as an art director, trying to please, people. But I forced myself to draw every day, and I loosened up, and I really started drawing more for me. And that's when, it was sort of an epiphany that, I had a style, and to be true to myself, and the images that came out of me naturally, there was a recurring theme. And and I actually, it was funny, I found a sketchbook from college, and some of those same themes that I was exploring in college had reemerged in my new sketchbook.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I was like, wow, I was doing that back then, and I didn't even realize. So yeah, it's definitely therapeutic, but it's not all dark. I'm happy too. There's joy, but there's also there's joy, there's strength, there's so many emotions to explore, and I'm human.
Yeah, and it's okay to have an angry side. I mean, we were born to be able to have that angry emotion.
Yes,
and so.
It's a good outlet.
It's
a very healthy
I'm
outlet.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
be an
I'm glad you
artist.
said it. Good outlet. Because it could go out in any number of ways, and if it's going out on paper, that can't harm anybody. That's probably the best way.
Yes.
All right. So, Dirk, obviously, you just heard all the things that Denise has gone through with her art, and like kind of where she's at. Do you share similar thoughts on like expressing your emotion in a way where it's safer and like you get it all out instead of like, tell me a little bit about kind of how you process your art and like where you get your inspiration from, kind of.
Yeah, and my favorite art to do, I know I do a number of things, and I miss my sketchbook now that you mentioned it, Denise, but my wife knows for sure that the first thing out of the house, if it's ever on fire, is my sketchbook.
Oh, wow.
My sketchbook from college. So I don't sketch nearly as much as I used to, and I might need to bring that back just because I'm doing so much painting, and the drawing and the paintings are just so different, or I found them to be different. So I more or less started doing paint sketches to come up with the designs or the compositions for my work. So, but I do miss that, just the pencil and the accessibility of it, to where it's like I could pop out a sketchbook and doodle for a little bit, compared to it's a to-do whenever I got to put the paints out and then like paint it and then wash it. So it takes a little bit more time. But for me, my favorite, and I fell in love with it, is just abstract expressionistic. So it's just very emotion-based, very moody. Sometimes I guess I can be moody, but I want to look at something and feel a connection to it on a non-representational place, at least for these specific pieces. And I want it to be a feeling. I wanted to have movement, and that's kind of what my paint does. And it's taken years to get the brush stroke the way I want it, and just the feel of it. And I'm working on a much more vibrant palette recently, and I always dig back to, my mom, who's a huge fan, and she sees the diary of my art, and, I had some darker years, some deeper years, and depressed, and
we all go through something.
Exactly. And she's like, you're just in such a happier place now. Like your paintings are so colorful. So, which, I mean, it helped with Festival to pick me, because they're like, we want something vibrant, Well, I was like, I'm reeking of vibrancy right now. So
that is hilarious, man. That's awesome.
But, to the point to where it's like, I'm tasked with a number of things, but doing the artwork that is most important and valuable to me on my time is what it's all about. So finding time to make sure that I still do that, and just to paint, like, without concerns of like, oh, is this gonna sell? Like,
yeah,
this isn't a commission. Like, no, I want to paint. I want to make a body of work that's meaningful to me and beautiful, and I want to showcase it to people. And that's gratifying, and much less just unfolding, myself, because it's an extension of me, more or less. Any artist will say that, to where it's like, this is me extending myself. And art's very vulnerable too, and that's why a lot of artists, like, they're scared to show, because you're gonna get feedback. Everybody's a critic, and it's just so bias and opinion and everything like that. So there's a vulnerability to being an artist, and your skin thickens up with the years, especially with all the declines. Festival, for instance, like, I've applied for festival to be the artist for like 7 years straight now.
Wow.
And for me, I leverage that to where I don't get discouraged. I'm like, okay, how do I make this better? And I'm glad I didn't get the artist position, because this is where the timing of it is perfect. Where my art is right now and doing the portrait work, it's all coming together so wonderfully, and I love the work that's coming out of the studio right now.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes you're in a place in life where you want something, but it's not the right time, and everybody has that. Any profession has that. Any outlet. So yeah, I mean, I get it, and the work you did for festival. Great job. I mean, it seems to be a very talked about piece. So I
was like,
kudos to that.
What will bring out the most festival-y painting I could think of, and yeah, it was a fun process, and I think we were very strategic I gave them different options. And we were back and forth with the board and just with the team, just to figure out, like, okay, what direction is going to be the best, because they really had reached out to me to kind of do my live wedding paintings. Like, they wanted that scene of festival, which there might be that happening festival weekend.
Oh boy.
Just sending a little teaser out there. But I was like, well, hey, check this out. Like, let me pitch this to you instead. I was like, my abstract kind of, swirls and stuff, but with like people and musicians. And they were like, wow, like, give us a mock-up. So I gave them a few options, and they were like, yes, this is it, and one of the funnest mistake, it was a happy accidents, was that we did a yellow background, so I couldn't do highlights in yellow. But the way that the stage turned out, it was blue, and I was highlighting with this bright green, and it turned into the world. So they were playing and dancing on the world, which was it wasn't intentional, but I'm glad it happened that way. So
yeah,
I love the piece, though. It's one of my strongest pieces that I've ever created, and that's saying a lot, because I'm a tough critic on myself, as I'm sure you could relate. So for me to just be very pleased with it, it says something.
It's powerful. I love it.
Well, let me get my sponsors in real quick. So for those that already know, we are sponsored by the Music Academy of Acadiana. They're Acadiana's top choice for music lessons, piano, guitar, voice, drums, violin, all those instruments that you probably love. My favorite, like I've said the past few episodes, is the saxophone. It's just so jazzy and deep. I love it. It's my favorite. I don't know how to play it, but I'd love to learn one day. They teach students of all ages, styles. They have about 500 students in and out each month, so it's a very busy, locally owned business founded by Tim Benson, who's a UL Lafayette Music School graduate. The Academy has premiered on major TV music contests like American Idol and The Voice. So if you've seen them, go check them out. They have their location right off of Ambassador in front of Sam's. Ultimately, their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. Their website is musicacademyacadiana.com, and you can go on Facebook, Twitter, all those places. They're there. But yeah, I mean, speaking of creativity, music has a very powerful influence on art and creativity, as we're going to be talking about, I'm sure, eventually through the episode. And then we also have our other sponsor, The Orchard. They are Acadiana's only Apple authorized service provider. So if you have a broken Apple device, they will fix it the right way, I guess, if you want to call it the right way, the Apple way. I'm pretty sure Dirk is over there making a face about Apple, because he does not have an Apple. But a lot of people do. And when it breaks, and it sucks, because Apple has a very strict belt on how you can fix it. The right to repair is interesting. So the Orchard helps you with that. They have 2 locations in Lafayette Parish, one by Buffalo Wild Wings on Ambassador, and then their newest location in Karen Crow by Super One Foods. bring your stuff over there, get it fixed, make sure it's working the right way. And if it's under warranty, they do the warranty repairs as well. So check them out, theorchardstores.com. And we appreciate our sponsors. And with that, we'll get back on with the episode. So before we mentioned the sponsors, you had mentioned something that I kind of want to go off of. You mentioned, just accessibility of a tablet or a pen and paper. Do you guys have any issues with using technology as a form of an outlet, like a tablet, like for example, an Apple iPad Pro?
I have a Surface.
You have a Surface,
and I love it. Like, I've speak with Robert Dafford many times, like as far as a mentor with the murals and stuff like that. And for me, especially if I'm doing a project like with Festival or my mural projects, like if I didn't have the technology to do the layering and to scale stuff, like it makes it so much easier than me having to make 1,000 sketches just to play around with size and stuff like that. So yes, I was an animator at first. I'm not gonna lie. I was in school for animation.
Wow.
So I'm glad that I took some of those skills before I switched to to the painting side of the world. But I'm sure you
Yeah,
use it for everything.
Yes, my life changed when I got my iPad and Procreate. I mean, I was a late adopter. I had friends a long time ago who were trying to get me to use tablets and things like that, and I would draw with a mouse.
Oh,
and
no.
They were like, how are you doing that? It's like you're drawing with a block of soap. But once I still draw with pencil on paper, and before I moved to my iPad, just because it's so like you said, I can carry it with me everywhere. I always have a pencil.
You don't need to make sure it's charged.
Yeah, and I don't. I mean, but my iPad, it has helped me be more free with colors. With I would still tighten up, with drawing. Drawing is pretty much my favorite thing to do. Line drawing. In my sketchbook, sometimes I just use a Sharpie and a sketchbook, and I don't erase. I just go, and if I make a mistake, I draw over it, and or make patterns or things like that. But if I want to do professional illustrations, I do book illustrations. It just makes it my flow so much more easily, because the very first book that I illustrated, I did not have an iPad, and I would do drawings and then scan them and then clean them up and then do the illustration and texture and everything in Photoshop.
Yeah.
And it was a much more labor-intensive process. But now I can draw on the iPad, and I have like my board, like the size that it needs to be, and I can, like you said, copy and paste and resize and move things around, and it's just and it's very intuitive for an artist. Like the pencils and pens and paintbrushes that you can use, but I still try. I like things to have a hand-drawn look.
Yeah.
I don't like, just personally, a digital look, for my art. But it's the third book that I created went much more quickly, and is just juicier and just a little more free in the artwork itself. And that's Moonsong, is a picture book that just came out in October, and it is about a tiger in a jungle, and the foliage and the moon. It's about the tiger teaches a little girl named Folky to sing a moon song to help return the moon to her village, and so but it's just the ability to just add color and bursts of color and things like that. It's the iPad just really has helped me just kind of free up a little bit more.
Okay, so you guys are definitely not against it.
No, but the touch too, though, of like
the
on
tactileness,
paper, like it's still very important. So,
absolutely.
But if I need to do the sketches on paper to some degree and then transfer them over.
Yeah.
Then I'll get into that on the program, So, but
There's a
but yeah,
balance, I think.
I'm not gonna be like with a pitchfork or anything like no technology in
Yeah.
my studio.
But
no.
my final art is digital. Like at Palettes and Pate, it's a giclée print that will be framed, and like where yours is going to be a painting. I'm sure.
Mine's is thick. It's done.
Yeah.
I think it's 3 foot, but no, yeah, 3 or 4 foot by 4 foot.
So
Might be
yeah,
3
so
foot.
it's just, but that, I mean, digital art is art. I mean, and I know there was a while. There was a while there where people were, I guess there was some discussion or debate over whether something digital could be art, but it absolutely, can be art.
There's a huge movement in NFTs showcasing
Well, exactly, and
how
I mean,
important digital
I don't
art
even
is.
know, like.
That's a rabbit hole we don't have time to go down.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
exactly.
look,
Fungible what? I don't
We're
know.
still trying to figure it out.
Yes, right. So,
But no, I mean, credit where credit's due, though. Digital art is art. It's like, hey, I'm an artist too. So, I mean,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
so much thought, even for graphic design, that goes into it,
Hmm.
So I'm glad, that give the credit where it's due.
You know what's interesting? So you guys, and especially Denise, you touched on it, is having that sketched look or that raw art feel in a digital format. I find to be pretty difficult, at least for me, because I see your work and I'm looking at one of the pictures you have now on your website. The first picture would looks like it has an elephant, some type of Bigfoot. I don't know. I'm trying to like.
it's like an ape, maybe.
Yeah,
And maybe it's a
I'll pull it up.
Tamandua, which is a sort of it's a creature. It's
Yeah. So
There
these
is-
are
it's a-
definitely creatures.
it's a sort of a parade of creatures, whimsical animals.
So this was done digitally, correct?
Yes.
I love the way it looks. It has a very sketched feel, and as someone who I claim to be an artist, graphic designer, I envy the ability to have that look, because it feels natural, and I beat myself up trying to do that on my own, like whether that be for a t-shirt or something. I'm like, besides going to Google and finding a texture and just making it into a texture that I could slap on, like this just seems so natural for other people. I'm like, obviously it takes time and there's some practice in there, but I love the way it looks. That's the ultimate point I'm making. I love that you create things digitally that look like you drew them on paper.
Well, that piece started off as a pencil drawing, and I scanned and then drew back on top of it. So the original scan is not actually in the original pencil is not part of that, but I think because I draw so much, it's part of the natural, the way I create work is through drawing, and where the iPad has helped me is turning my drawings into color pieces, because that was the hardest part when I first started drawing. Again, was like drawing with pencil and then adding color in Photoshop and like working with the lines and stuff, where the iPad I can draw directly onto the screen, and but it's still me drawing.
Yeah.
If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And Dirk, if you want to touch in on this too, one of the things about the digital, I guess, format of art that I think I like it, but I want to get y'all's take on it. Especially with an iPad, and Surface may do this as well, depending on what program you're using. But when you take the pen and you draw like, let's say an arch, and like, let's say your hand is not super steady, like the arch looks a little funky. It's interesting to watch the computation of the artwork after the fact. It straightens out some of your work, depending on what brush you use, I guess, too. Like you can draw a sloppy looking arch, and then Illustrator would be like, whoop, there it is, nice and smooth. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that. Like,
I usually hit Control Z and then re-arch it.
really?
I deleted it and hit it again.
I've been teaching at UL this past semester
Yeah.
as an adjunct professor, and I've been loving it. But I had a student who was interested in illustration, and he asked me, the illustration style that he was interested in is different from mine. He was interested in more of that sort of smooth line kind of thing. And there's a way to adjust the wobble. Like I like the wobble. Right. I like things to look funky.
Yeah.
And but there are artists who want
that smoothness,
smooth, and there's a way to adjust the pen tool.
These programs are so advanced, and I only know like the basic. Like I know how to get my things the way I want them. I do a lot of photo editing with my paintings as well, so it's like I have my methods on how to get from A to B, and it could be completely different on how Denise is going to get there and how you're going to get there.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
exactly.
that's I wish I was a master at these programs because I'd probably be saving myself a lot of time if I just sat there and learned them.
Which you do, and it comes out as you. So.
And you made a good point. I mean, there's no one way to do a certain thing. I mean, there may be a more efficient way, but like it doesn't matter how you get there. Whatever you do to get there, as long as at the end of the piece, if it can be printed, if it can be reproduced in a format that is tangible, then it works. But like I've done things in a different way where whenever I go to Google a tutorial, they're doing it in a completely opposite way. I'm like, I never thought about using this particular tool to achieve that. I just like for example, roughing an edge. Like for the longest time, I didn't know that there was a tool called roughen and zigzag and all this. I'm like, this would have saved me so much time because I was doing it in some other way. Like,
and it's probably there's default tools, and then you can download like all these other packs or like pay for these other things. So I mean, just look at the font game for
fonts. Oh my gosh,
so
fonts are wild. And there was another thing that you guys mentioned, and I think it was happy accidents, and I think that sounds like a Bob Ross reference.
Bob Ross reference.
Look, mistakes. Some of my worst mistakes that I've made in graphic design turned out to be some of the best techniques moving forward. I'm like, sometimes I get mad at myself. I'm like, how did I do that? Yeah. I screwed up on something that I thought I was doing, but this looks so much better. How do you guys embrace that? Like, what do you do whenever you have a mistake, whether that can be Controlled Z'd or whited over? Like, what do you guys do, Derek, if you want to take it up first?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to the actual painting, and there's a lot of discipline with the work I'm doing per stroke, and I'm trying to. The paintings could get very busy very quickly. So I have to have so much control over it. Yet the paint knows how to put me in my place more often than not. And then I just have to be patient with that. Sometimes I need to let it dry. Sometimes I can scrape it off and then re-hit it again maybe. There's good days like anything, and there's bad days, so some days, man, I could be on. I'm sure people at Basin in the studio, they'll hear me, cheerfully say a few choice words, whatever. I'm like really feeling it. And vice versa. When I'm having a bad day, I just put the brush down, get out of there, and, so yeah, I mean, you have to be willing to make mistakes and fail. I think that's such an important thing.
Being okay with failing, yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you can't force a happy mistake to happen. It just you have to be willing to make a mistake in order for it to happen. So I might stumble across something that maybe yesterday, for instance, I spilt my water. Like I had one of my longer brushes in the thing, and I had just set up a watercolor piece to continue a series, and I spilled the water. Of course, the water had like paint like mixed in it, so it wasn't like clear water. Just spilled all over, but I left some really cool marks on it, so I was able to dry the paper and just kind of leave it there. And then, I was going back into it this morning. I was like, there you go. So it's embracing it sometimes, and also also being willing, like I also tore a piece in half because it just didn't make the cut.
I was going to ask, like, have you ever just straight up destroyed something because you were
so
mad?
gratifying. I think every artist, they actually taught us that in school, like to where it's like you need to destroy one of your pieces. It's not a strong piece, you know.
Yeah,
please don't
Yeah.
decipher those out. But you know, it comes with experience, and it's also it helps you just acknowledge like, hey, this piece, it was an attempt, it didn't work out, I'm okay with it, let it go, you know. For me, I could sometimes reuse canvases or something like that, or again, if it's on the computer, I could just delete the file. So, but you know, it is material I'm wasting sometimes, and it's like, oh well, move on, and then I forgot about it.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes like you do have to like just let it out, and I guess that would be the best way to destroy something inanimate than taking it out on someone verbally or physically.
You learn from it.
You learn from it.
I'll take it out on the painting.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just open a iPad or a Procreate document and just sort of scribble and like pick the ugliest colors I can and just kind of let it go.
You do that as a warm up? Sometimes?
Yeah, just to kind of get free and, you know.
I like that.
I like a good warm up.
Yeah, you know, and really sometimes just like picking, like without thinking, just like picking an ugly green and a, you know, but then I like ugly green. But or like
colorful green.
Just pick something, you know, colors that I would not pick and throw them together. And I've come up with, like, I actually have posted some of those, and they're different, but they're just warm up and just doing sort of hand lettering that's just so imperfect. That's just but it's just an emotional outlet kind of, and those become happy accidents too, because I've come up with color palettes like, well, actually that kind of works, you know, like, and I never would have picked that color with that, but you know, it works. So, you know, sometimes just doing that, and even if I'm not in a mood to be perfect, but I'm in the mood to just like, I don't know, get some emotion out. But things sort of appear, you know, and they are, I may not ever show it to anybody, or I may share it with like special people who may understand me, you know, like, but yeah, so it's definitely, and then, like I said, my sketchbook, like, you know, there are pages in there.
And I think, you know, Denise and myself, I'm sure we're very disciplined to the craft, to where it's like, and as, you know, professional artists, we get the luxury to have that time out of the day where it's like, I'm going to create, like I'm going to make something no matter what.
Yeah.
At one point in my life, I was like, oh, I'm not in the mood. Like I gotta be inspired to paint. I'm so glad I got over that, because it's like, no, show up, put the paint to the canvas, or put whatever the craft is, and just do it, and then see. Again, you're gonna have good days, bad days, but you just have to do it.
And sometimes you just put it away and come back, and you realize, and you're like, oh, what I did yesterday was terrible. But you come back and you're like, well, it's not that bad, you know. Like, but yes, you're right. You have to show up every day and be creative, because that's our job.
Yep.
And I mean, it's been my job since, you know, when I was a graphic designer, an art director, you know, like, yeah, I couldn't just say, oh, I'm not feeling like creating today, you know, like, no, you know, like the client needs you to, you know, create a logo or a poster or, you know, whatever. And so, you know, if going to your sketchbook and like, you know, doing some sort of, you know, crazy thing gets you back into that headspace, you know, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But, or taking a walk. You know, I have the best little dog in the world, and Satchmo is his name, and I got him at Acadian Animal Aid. And if you ever need or are looking for a good dog, just ask them for their favorite. And because that's what I did. That's what I did. We went. It was at the beginning of the pandemic, and I you know, didn't want to go through it without a pup by my side.
An emotional support pup?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what he is. We walked in without any, you know, preconceived notions of what kind of dog we were going to get. And they said, you have to meet Bust-a-Move was his name at the
Bust a
time.
move.
And he's everyone's favorite. And, well, he's just the best dog in the world. His name is Satchmo now, though.
Nice.
Satchmo, bust a move.
Yes, but he sits by me, and he, you're right. He is my emotional support animal. And but sometimes I have to take him for a walk and, kind of get out of the studio,
Yeah.
and just sort of breathe and you listen to the birds and, and then come back. So yeah, I mean, but being a creative is, like you said, you don't have the luxury, like if it's your job, but luckily I have so many different creative projects that I'm working on that, I can choose, if I know what to do when, I can choose that, I'm more in the space to do this today, or, or but I also said that I'm teaching at UL as an adjunct professor, and working with those students has been so inspiring to me, because it brought back my memories. I'm in the same classroom that I was in when I was at UL. And so it's just, I remember what it was like to be a student, and they're inspiring me. Their passion and their excitement for graphic design and for creating, it's infectious.
Are there some of your students that are obviously more talented and better than you, or is that a thing? It's
better than me?
Yeah.
That came out really bad.
Great confidence.
They're students, so they're still learning.
Yeah.
But there are some that have a lot of potential, and I'm just so excited.
Good way to put it.
I'm so excited to push them further, and that's what my instructor, Dutch Kepler, at the time, he saw something in me that he pushed me further than I thought I could go. And that's what I want to do for my students. I want to push them so that they're, when they go out into the world, they can find a job and they feel confident and they can push themselves and have that discipline.
And talent only gets you so far.
Yes.
Having that work ethic is, and that's what I learned in college, because I was just trying to get by with the least amount of work that I could do.
Everybody at some point in their life is
I was
my
lazy.
professor. I remember my professor gave me a D on one of my projects, and he gave this other person who's the piece mine was so much better than their piece. And he gave them an A, and I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, I'm grading you on you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm grading them on them. And they have advanced way further than how they started off, and you're just staying at the same spot.
Okay.
So, work.
Wow.
So
Yes.
the next project, I got an A.
Yeah. I mean,
because he lit it, a fire in me. And I got it from there to where it's like, you know what? I need to put more work into it to better myself. I'm only going to benefit from this. This is what I'm here for. So,
you know what? There was something that my parents would tell me back in high school. I didn't go to college, by the way. So the high school is the extent of my education, but I would get bad grades. And now artwork, my art classes, I never got bad grades. I was the best one there. But history and social studies, terrible. I can't do it. But I would get home and I would show my report card, and my mom and dad would use this phrase, and I cannot stand it even to this day. You need to apply yourself. I'm like, what does that even mean? I know that they're telling me I need to do better, but what does apply myself? I'm applying. I don't know how to apply trigonometry. What is going on? I don't. Anyway, so yeah, working on yourself. And I look back now at my high school years, and I'm like, you know what? I still don't know exactly what apply yourself meant, even to this day, but I know that I could have done better. I was a young teenage little boy, and I still have some rebelliousness today. I was super against authority, but now I respect authority to a degree. But I was just one of those kids that just wanted to do my own thing. I had my own drum beat, and I still do, and I didn't know how to harness it, and I just I was all over the place. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you guys share any of that.
Well,
but
the discipline is what you were talking about. Is having our own business. You have to have that discipline. I mean, it's a weird sort of balance of creativity and discipline, because I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't have been able to. I wasn't ready to have my own business, right out of college. I needed to learn. I needed to, be in that environment of working in ad agencies and learning how things are run and things like that, and eventually gain that knowledge. But starting my own business, I have to show up every day, and then I also have to do billing and invoicing, and
it's a business.
It's a business, yeah. And so no one's gonna do if I don't do it, it's not gonna get done. So I have to have that discipline, and so there's a balance between for having that creative, rebellious spirit, because I do. There are days when I just want to run free and like be rebellious and things like that. But then I know that there are things that I have to get done, and but then I take care of myself, and like if there are days that I need to run free or something, like take a little break, I do, as long as I know I'm getting the work done that needs to be done.
Right.
And my clients can depend on me, and the people who are expecting things from me, because the last thing I ever want is to disappoint a client or, someone who's relying on me. So, so that's something that, you learn.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a learned skill, because I think that there is a stereotype to where it's like, oh, you're an artist, you just get to create all day. You make your own schedule. Like, so it's like, yeah, if I'm not painting it, or if I'm not doing the contracts and stuff, then it doesn't get done. So, I mean, I think as an artist, and they don't teach you this in school, but you're an entrepreneur. I mean, you have to be. You're running your own business, you're running your own brand, and there's so much that is on the other side of the brain for artists that they're like, wait, what I need to make? Like, what's an EIN? Like, what's a contract? What, I have to put a contract? I'm like, yeah. What's an invoice? Or how do I do this? So, it's 50-50. And when I came to terms with that it's 50% creative, 50% business, it just changed my entire career. It changed my life, and in a great way. Because of course I didn't want to do that. I was like, I don't want to have to learn how to put in my sales taxes. I don't want to be bookkeeping. Like, who wants to do that? But it was just a stage of growing up and just coming to terms with it and saying, you know what, if I'm going to do this, and like this allows me to be the creative I want to be, then I'm going to get it done. And I'm so glad I did, because I'm so fortunate to be in the position I am, and to be able to make a living off of my art, is just, I would have never imagined that 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah. When my parents sent me to college, they were like, we didn't know what careers you could have as an artist. They took a leap of faith, and they're like, go to, into the arts program and just be something,
That's what it was. Like, I don't know what you're going to do with the art, but you need to do art.
That's
kind of what it was.
Yeah,
like for
with
me
too.
It
was
awesome.
like my parents just knew that, but I wish I had taken some sort of business, or I wish that, there was a business for artists course that I could have taken. But because I learned all that on the job, like watching others and being part of an advertising agency. So, and
I love the position I'm in now, to where it's like, I want to help mentor and help the up and coming artists that are, so many artists are teetering on that edge of like, I'm not going to make it, I quit. And it hurts me, because there's so many talented artists, and they just stop pursuing it, even as a hobby. And it's so devastating.
You had a class for ArtSpark recipients, and I was in that class.
The business of being an artist.
Yes,
and then,
exactly.
And I'm going to be mentoring again with the Opportunity Machine.
Me too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're both ArtSpark recipients, and so now we're both mentors for future ArtSpark recipients or current ones. So we'll be helping along with that, because that was another stage of my life, of receiving a grant and writing a grant and receiving a grant, and knowing how to facilitate that and do that business part. So that's just another business thing for artists.
Yeah.
And so I love that you guys went on a little not a tangent, but like a good little session there. Like I was listening, and the fact that you mentioned that there are artists who are talented but end up letting that I guess that spark or that thing die. And it kind of goes across several different outlets, not just painting or graphic design, but like I've been reading a lot about podcasts and like obviously because I do one and I'm trying to understand the fail rate and all that good stuff. And what I'm reading is a lot of people want to start a podcast because they're creative to some degree. They want to talk, they want to engage, and they have this mindset that they're going to make money. And I think that's probably a lot to do with it, because to get to a point where you make money with your craft, whatever that looks like, takes a while, takes a lot of scars and a lot of beatings and a lot of getting put down and then getting picked back up. And, so the fail rate for a podcast is 7 episodes. Like once a podcast reaches 7 episodes, that's the point where you know that they're either going to fail or succeed if they make it past that 7 mark, because typically people do one a week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, depending on their schedule. And so to get to 7, you have to try hard enough. And so the other day I was just looking at local podcasts in our area, in the Louisiana area, and I was looking at all their episode counts. And for the most part, a lot of them had more than 7, but I noticed that there were a lot of them that had 7 episodes and that was it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is scary.
They didn't apply themselves.
They didn't apply themselves.
Yeah, sustainability in anything that you do.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Definitely.
Small business owners, I mean, that is just, it's devastating. And if you look at artists and just it's unsettling the rate at which even BFA students, who's actually doing anything with their art, much as who pursued a career to get an MFA to maybe become a professor. So it's like artists, you already have to wear so many hats, but there's so many different ways to figure out a way to get sustainable income, to where, I mean, it's such a small percentage of who could actually create their art and make a living off of their art.
Oh, yeah.
Solely one type of art too. Like I'm only making these paintings and selling these paintings. Like, wow, you did something. You caught the right patron somewhere.
Right.
So hats off to you. But the rest of us, we're gonna have to find other ways. Workshops, books,
graphic design, books, teaching. Like, I mean, all of those things are revenue streams for me.
And you need multiple.
Yeah, I do.
As an artist, you need multiple.
Even the most successful artists, like they have multiple revenues because you have to,
Yes. I could not live on children's books alone.
You'd be nice if you could.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say this earlier though. I would love to see like almost like some short films or like a Netflix series of your style of like with those characters, like in movement. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the faith in me.
Well, so we're at about 53 minutes. I want to transition to talking about y'all's most recent, I'm going to call it a win, being a festival artist. Denise, so you did the artwork for Festival Acadiens. I don't know how to say the whole thing appropriately. Yeah, Festival Acadiens Créoles. Yeah, it's written right in front of me. What am I doing? So I want to show that work, and then I guess want to have you just tell us about it and kind of how it came up to you being selected as a festival artist.
Well, Barry Ossolet, who is one of the founders of the festival, he and I've done illustration work for his children's books and other books that he's done. And he is, I would say, a fan, which is, I mean, he and I love to get together with Barry. He's a folklorist and he's a storyteller and he's a wonderful guy. But he championed me and he wanted me to do the poster because it had been 2 years and it was a return. It was a coming back. And he really saw my artwork as being, like a joyful return to, this being together at this festival. So so he just asked me, he invited me to be the poster artist. And I did some sketches, and I came up with some lines. And Le Grand Retour was a line that I came up with, which is the great returning. And I did some sketches that were musicians. I did some sketches that were animals and or just dancers, human dancers. And then I did some sketches that were human dancers with animal heads. And he said that was more, they felt that was me being true to me as an artist. And so you can see there's an alligator and dancing with a chicken. I actually, at the poster unveiling, there were some children there and they were like, that would never happen. And, a chicken would never dance with an alligator. And we said, but at festival, anything can happen. And this was, it was also kind of a comment on, bringing everyone together. Every type of person from every walk of life can come together to that festival and just be happy and be joyful and revel in the culture and the music and, what we have here in Louisiana, which is, this great culture and food and friendship. And so Barry trusted me to bring that spirit. And we actually had planned it for the fall of 21, and it was canceled again. So we ended up using it for the spring, but we will also of 22, and then there'll also be one for the fall. So I'll be doing the artwork for that poster as well. Awesome. So
you get a double dip.
I do, and so there'll be. We want them to be like a pair that you would hang together, or for collectors, and the pins too, because I created the pin artwork, and so that it would be like a set. And the last time they did 2 festivals in one year was like the first year they had festival, and they said never again. But it was so joyful, and it was, everybody was the vibe out there at festival in March was just joy. And so we're, excited to have it again in the fall and to have that joy again and really celebrate. So I'm looking forward to creating. I haven't done any sketches yet. Barry had some theme ideas, and so he kind of just hinted at some things to me. So look for that in the fall.
Well, I love the poster. I love the alligator and the chicken because that I feel like if there were 2 animals that I would have to pick that was most Cajun-esque, the chicken and the alligator. I feel like that's really it.
That's really cool.
And I love the bottom part too. Joyful together. Mm-hmm. It's a nice touch. I mean, it's a great poster. I love the colors. You obviously have a knack for the color selection and even some of the funky greens
those are my favorite. And the funniest part is when I was in college, color was always the scariest part for me. Like I love to draw, but color but it's become something that I've embraced,
color theory. I mean,
I know it's like it's scary. It's like this goes with that, and this
But it's like getting dressed in the morning.
Yes, and so it's too many rules, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I started getting bogged down, and with all of that, and when I just sort of let go and just started throwing things together, and that's what we were talking about earlier is just like messing around with stuff and coming up with a color palette that's true to me.
Yeah, I have my go-tos. There's definitely some blues.
Absolutely, blue and this awful like ugly green, but I just love that green. And
I can't get enough of it.
I'm in a hot pink phase right now.
Obviously, with the dress.
I know. I mean, it's everything is hot pink. I don't know what's going on, but it started at Christmas.
It's bright and colorful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's happy.
So yeah.
Awesome. All right, so Dirk, you're doing the Festival International artwork, or you've already done it. So let's talk about that. You kind of mentioned a little bit of it, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about how that opportunity came about and how you got selected and all of the different if there were challenges to being the festival artist.
Yeah, and surprisingly, I was gonna take a hiatus because my wife and I were expecting twin boys.
Oh, wow.
In September, and it was around when the application is much less. Okay, festival's gonna be going on, and we're gonna have like some very young twins to go with our other two daughters. So my wife is my hero, by the way. So
y'all would have 4?
we have 4 now.
Wow.
Yeah, we have 4 and 7-month-old twins right now with festival.
Oh my gosh.
But so I wasn't gonna apply yet. I had a few of my colleagues that are involved with festival that were really pushing to have me. They were like, "Look, this is our comeback year. It's been a 2-year hiatus. We want something strong, and I really think you're up for the challenge." So I talked to my wife about it. She's like, "Dirk, you have to do this." So sure enough, I said, let's go. I brought them different mock-ups, just again where my art is right now and what I had in mind. And we kind of went from there. And the theme of it, just to harp on what Denise said too, was like togetherness again.
Yeah.
Like this is the first time back in person with the crowds, with the people, and the proximity and the camaraderie of that. So, for me, and of course, just long time wanting to be the artist, I'm like, I've had plenty of brainstorming and ideas, So yeah, we came together with like, I want to just make this amazing jam band of different cultures, of different people, incorporate my paint style with it, the vibrancy of the color palettes I'm with right now, and just gonna make them play something beautiful. So we went ahead and that's kind of the mock-up that they wanted or voted on pretty unanimously. I gave them a few options. They were like, that's the one. So we went from there, and they were able to supply me with just because I told them, I was like, look, I could either make up these reference images, like, because I'm basically making a band out of nothing. So
Out of thin air, yeah.
Or you guys could give me just, who has played that's significant, who's playing this year that I might be able to feature in there. And I think that we achieved the goal of incorporating the different continents, the different styles, both local and foreign. And yeah, they look like they're having a grand old time.
Yeah, I mean,
Just jamming out.
So fun.
I got it posted right now. You can see the outfits are very vibrant and culturalist, and then you have what looks like the Cajun players with the
washboard.
the washboard, yeah, and then you got the guitar, and then you have looks like a, I don't know if that's a didgeridoo or some type of.
I think it's called a karu, or
It's a
I
stringed
can't think of the
instrument?
name. Yeah,
Okay.
it has the ball. I mean, very iconic image.
Yeah.
But it was just so great. And again, I'm at the point where I was needing to incorporate my, very fluid brush strokes with something representational. So I still wanted to make sure that the figures were there. So with this, I actually went in and I did full detailed portrait, like painting as an underpainting, then came back and started applying the actual, like, I guess, dicey brush strokes to see it. And there's so many times where it's just like, are you going to mess this up? Like, no pressure. But
Yeah,
no
no
you
pressure.
need to nail this brush stroke right here. So
That's gutsy.
yeah, and the piece, I love working large. I didn't want to get too large, but the piece is actually 4 foot by 5 foot. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
good size.
it's up at the ACA right now, so anybody could still go view it. And I would recommend going see it because,
Yes,
like any
I
art, you
saw
want to
it.
see it in person.
Yeah.
And the posters are just, we sold out of the signed ones instantly at the reveal party, and
Nice.
they've been flying. They said the posters, so I'm glad that it was very well received. And I jokingly, when I was showing people it, I was just kind of like, does it look festival-y enough?
Dude, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
if there was a visual, a festival, this is it. Like
Well, thank
the
you.
crowd and just the variety of visuals that you see, and then of course the colors. I mean,
There's an energy to
Yeah.
just to the work that I do.
Definitely.
Like I feel there's an energy, and I believe I was able to capture that with the festival colors and the movement. So I want that that movement and that liveliness to it. I had another piece because I'm working on a full series because I will have a booth up for festival. So it's more musicians playing, and I had somebody looking at it yesterday, and they were just like, I could hear the music. It's like, well, I'm playing the festival music right here. Like, no, from the painting, I could hear it. So I'm glad that it's all just kind of lining up for me.
yeah, it looks amazing. Both of the festival arts this year look amazing, and I've been a fan of these festival arts for years since I moved here. I'm like, when I first got introduced to what festival was, because whenever I moved here, I didn't know what it was, and my wife, we were dating at the time, and she was like, "Yeah, let's go to this Festival International thing." I'm like, "What is that?" It's like, you gotta pay for that. She goes, "No, you just go." I'm like, it's free?
You're like, well, you got to buy a pin.
Yeah, like, but like, it was just so different. And then we get there, and I'm like, there's so many people and different types of people that are just from all over the place. I'm like, this is an interesting thing. And then, like, I had the Festival International crew here a couple of Fridays ago, and I was saying that there was some bands that I've never heard of in my life that I just couldn't walk away from. I'm like, I want to stay right here. And then after the fact, I was like, I need to find them on the internet. Like, I got to listen to them again. So
that's the beauty of it. I mean,
know,
you
just
discovering.
Yes.
I love it. You know, I found a few bands that I've never even heard of, and like,
yeah,
I didn't even think I could fall in love with a band as much as I don't even understand what they're saying because I don't speak the language.
We don't usually have a plan. We just go and serendipitous. You know,
you don't plan. You just go.
Wander in and you find something that's just amazing, and then you enjoy the moment, and then you just that's how I do it.
It's magical.
Like
it really is.
I let the wind take me where.
Yeah. If that doesn't sound like an artist, I don't know what does.
I was actually the Festival International poster artist for 2016.
Nice.
It was a beautiful poster.
So you got 3 posters under your belt.
Yeah, I got a lot of
catching
catching
a
up.
frog poster and a rice poster.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you got more.
I look up to Denise. I aspire to be on.
Like yours.
We're on an art box together. I forgot
we have
about
art
that.
box.
Yeah,
I know.
we do.
Our paths are like our trajectories are.
That is amazing.
But we're completely different. Our styles are completely different. But we just it's fun. Having gotten to know you over these years of like being involved in similar events and things like that. So it's been great. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, this has been awesome, and the energy between you two. I mean, it's nice to see, because I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know who all knows each other. Sure. I mean, we're not a big town. We have a big feel, but we're not a big town. Like, we're a small town, big city feel. And I'm experimenting with inviting multiple people, because for the longest time it was just one person, myself and one other. And I'm like, now that I got the capacity to do more people with more mics, I'm like, who knows each other? And like, what's the energy gonna be like? And like, you guys could almost have a podcast by yourselves. Like, honestly.
When are we dropping that, Denise?
Yeah.
Oh man. So this has been great. The artworks look great. Your all's talent is definitely apparent. I would say I'm envious, but we all have our own talents, and I appreciate other people's work, knowing that I may never be able to achieve that level, but I have achieved my own levels. So yeah. So I'm gonna show y'all's websites one more time so that people can see. So if you want to go to Denise's website, it is simply DeniseGallagher.com. Like, honestly, there's got to be more Denise Gallaghers in the world, and you got DeniseGallagher.com. like, when did you buy this domain?
Oh, it's been a
long time.
Yeah.
Yes. Ahead of the game.
Ahead of the game. Like, you would have been hard pressed to find that today if you were just starting out. So kudos to that. Very, very lovely website. Simple, but the logo is nice. It just it screams.
If you dive deep, there are different sections. Like I said, the illustration. Then there's like fairy tale illustration.
I want to go down that rabbit hole real quick.
And then there's graphic design. So, and then there are books. So there are different sections throughout. So.
And they can order the books online. Or do you have them in stores?
Links, to order the books. So I've illustrated and written 2 children's books, and illustrated some folk tales from Canada, from Cajun folk tales. So
yeah, we got to add to my collection of the Denises in the children's book for my army of kids that I acquired.
You've got your own crew there.
Look, I it's apparent their style is recognizable for sure. Like I've just scrolled through the entire myths and fairy tales part, and it's very interesting.
Thank you. That's the kind of stuff. Yeah, that's.
I love
personal
scrolling across that in my Instagram.
Yeah.
Brings a smile to my face. Like,
Thank you.
Denise
All
is
right.
killing it.
So now we're going to go to Dirk's website. So again, dirkguidry.com. Great domain. It's very simple. It's not one of those wild domains where you have to try to figure out. So check him out. He's got, of course, all his little navigation things where it's weddings, murals. You can shop, and you can also contact both of them on their website too. They both have contact sections. So just scrolling through his website, you can see a little bit about him. He was born in 1987, which is crazy because I was born in 86. I feel like everybody's, for the longest time, everybody was older than me, and now I'm like aligning with people. It's wild.
Okay.
And then so you can see his featured work. Obviously, he's definitely proud of the festival poster at the moment. That's the biggest thing. And of course, you could check out Dirk at the festival, right? This year?
Yes, my booth will be set up in San Souci, right across from Agave. So
Okay.
I'll have my booth up there with some of the abstracts, and then, of course, a festival series with instruments and different
Will
musicians.
people be able to buy some of your art?
Yes, they're for sale. And we'll have, I think, a few prints. We were working on some apparel stuff. I don't know if it'll be done in time, but I'll be rocking some Dirk paint shoes.
All right, all right.
Just to say.
All right, and Denise, will you have something set up at Festival Acadiens Créoles? No?
I'll be out there dancing.
Okay,
This is actually my first festival with a booth because I just enjoy festivals so
Yeah.
much that I didn't want to
Yes.
have to work for it. So I'm envying Denise this week as I'm coming down the home stretch, but it's gonna be great.
I'll go visit Dirk and
Yeah,
hang
come
out
on
with
by.
him for a little bit. But yeah, I'll be dancing and
Having fun.
having fun.
Hey,
Going
that
where the
works.
wind takes me.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming in. It was fun. I love talking stuff that's more my language and artwork and all that good stuff. But you guys obviously have a language between yourselves. Like it's been wild. It's been great. But yeah, thank you for coming on, and I enjoyed it.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having
me.
us. Yeah.
Is there anything that you guys want to say before we cut out?
No, I'll see you at festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
too.
Both of them.
Awesome, guys. Well, that is the Tea Podcast for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And also, just don't forget, you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those other places. Facebook even has a podcast section now on our Facebook page. So if you want to listen to it and you don't have the capacity of watching an hour-long video, no worries. There's an audio format because just as Dirk and Denise and I were talking before we went on, we like to listen to it in our cars or in a setting that we're not, it doesn't interfere with our work, or technically, I mean, even though our time, yes. So anyway, with that, that is it. And we'll see you on the next Friday. All right. You guys have a great one.